Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT News.
Breaking news out of New York tonight. Health leaders say a doctor has been diagnosed with Ebola virus.
How you can help a mother after her 13-month-old baby was tragically killed.
And a tasty treat has arrived in Lexington. We'll take you inside the new Cheesecake Factory for a sneak peek. WKYT News starts now. We begin tonight with a breaking national story that we are tracking. Another case of the Ebola virus has been diagnosed in the United States. This time, it's in New York City.
Health leaders say a New York doctor who recently worked with Ebola patients in West Africa has tested positive for the virus. He's now in isolation as authorities try to track down everyone he came in contact with. Brian Webb has these breaking details.
New York City Dr. Craig Spencer is the fourth person to be diagnosed with Ebola in the United States. Spencer tested positive for the virus at New York's Bellevue Hospital, where he is in isolation.
There is no reason for New Yorkers to be alarmed. Ebola is an extremely hard disease to contract.
Video from the New York Post shows an ambulance with police escort rushing Spencer to Bellevue Hospital, where EMTs wearing hazmat suits were then decontaminated. Spencer was likely exposed to the virus earlier this month while caring for Ebola patients with the group Doctors Without Borders in Guinea, West Africa. Spencer had been self-monitoring since his return to the U.S. October 17th. He reported fatigue earlier in the week, but didn't develop a fever until Thursday.
We know that he went to a place called The Gutter, a bowling alley in Williamsburg in Brooklyn. To get there, he took the A train and the L train. That was yesterday.
A CDC GO team will work with his doctors to make sure all protocols are followed. Brian Webb for CBS News, New York.
Back here in Kentucky, he was just 13 months old. 2 weeks ago tomorrow, police say a Boyle County child was killed by a man who was supposed to be caring for him.
Now, friends of the child's mother have started an online campaign to help her and her family, and they say they need your help. WKYT's Garrett Weimer has more in tonight's top story.
Here at the park, kids are laughing and playing, doing what they do as they grow up. All things baby Chris, sadly, won't get to do.
It's a shame, but we have the good memories, so that'll keep us going.
Stephanie Scott and other friends are now raising money for the family after losing someone who brought them so much joy.
Chris was the sweetest little baby ever. He was always happy, you know. He never really cried much. He's always smiling.
Scott says if she could do more, she would. She's just doing what she can to help out her friend. They've launched a GoFundMe page, trying to get donations to help pay for a new start for the family and a headstone for baby Chris.
We're not going to be able to find one that's going to be as great as he was, but we want to get close, so we're going to hopefully raise enough money to get him a nice little headstone to remember it by.
All his family and friends try to build themselves back after a loss they'll feel forever.
We're all just broken, devastated. Like, it's hard. It really is.
They have each other to help get them through. Now Scott says they need you. In Nicholasville, Garrett Weimer, WKYT.
If you would like to help out, we have a link to the GoFundMe page on WKYT.com. Police charged Joseph Adams with murder for the child's death. The case has been sent to a grand jury. We are tracking a crime alert in Lexington tonight. Police are looking for a man who robbed a motel at gunpoint. It happened just before 6:30 tonight at the Red Roof Inn on Haggard Court off North Broadway. Lexington police say a man walked in, showed a gun, and demanded money. They say the man stole money from the register and an employee's wallet. Police say the man drove off in a blue two-door vehicle. Police say the robber is a black man about 6 feet tall. He was wearing a hoodie and jeans. They also say he had something over his face.
A man has died after police say his car crashed in Boyle County. It happened about 2 this afternoon on Highway 33 near Danville. State police say 55-year-old William Edwards of Harrodsburg drove off the road and hit a culvert. They say he was thrown from the car and later died at a hospital. Police think that alcohol may have played a role in the crash. The father of a former UK football player injured in a fall at the stadium says he's come a long way in his recovery. Brad Durham is now at Cardinal Hill Rehabilitation Hospital. He fell from the upper deck of Commonwealth Stadium during the South Carolina game earlier this month. Durham had back surgery after the fall. His father says he has short-term memory loss from a head injury, but Durham continues to get better.
He's come through this tragic accident, and we consider him wildcat tough. He's a tough kid, so and that shows.
Durham's family hopes he'll be able to leave Cardinal Hill and go home about a week from now.
The last few days have been chilly across the Bluegrass, but it looks like some much nicer weather will move in just in time for our weekend. Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey has an early look now at your forecast. That's just the way we like it.
Yeah, we're looking good across the area for the next several days. Timing of that perfect with the weekend coming up and the change in the fall colors. Timing this afternoon into the early part of the evening for that partial solar eclipse, with a little cloud cover out there, not doing a whole lot of luck for those folks trying to see it into central Kentucky. But look at the view from eastern Kentucky from a little earlier this afternoon. It kind of looks like Pac-Man. That was our sun with that partial solar eclipse a little earlier this afternoon. You had to have a filter on your camera to really pick that up. The clouds that got into town to kind of sour that view into central Kentucky, now progressing across the region. You're noticing those clouds on and off through the better part of tonight, being pushed by a very weak disturbance. Does not have a whole lot of moisture with it, but it may have just enough juice to produce an isolated shower as we go into the day tomorrow. Most of your day is dry. Chilly start at around 44 on your Friday. Mainly cloudy skies first half of the day. Heading home, partly sunny, pleasant temperatures into the low 60s. Just ahead, it gets better as we go into our Saturday and Sunday. We'll track that and a big change lurking into your Halloween week forecast just ahead, guys.
Chris, thank you. The story of a Kentucky high school athlete who overcame the odds hit the big screen in Lexington tonight. 23 Blast premiered at the Kentucky Theater. The independent film was inspired by Travis Freeman, who played football for Corbin High School in the 1990s. Despite being blind, 23 Blast was filmed and produced in Corbin.
I think it has to do with having faith in yourself, having the courage to stand up when you fall down. It also is a message of support.
23 Blast will play on more than 600 movie screens around the country beginning this weekend. All of the proceeds from tonight's premiere went to visually impaired preschool services. Well, many people have wanted it in Lexington for a long time, and the wait is almost over.
Next week, the Cheesecake Factory will hold its grand opening at Fayette Mall. But tonight, we got a sneak peek inside the new restaurant. WKYT's Jordan Valines shows us around.
Ever since folks found out that the Cheesecake Factory was coming to Fayette Mall, they have been more than excited to try it out. And tonight, for the very first time, we got a look inside the brand new restaurant. During Thursday's soft opening, guests flooded into the Cheesecake Factory.
Tonight is all about having guests in the restaurant for the first time,
filling their stomachs with sinfully delicious food.
And whatever you're in the mood for, you can find on our menu.
And helping the 275 staff members fine-tune their trade.
Perfect, where am I going?
During the final phase of the training process.
With 250 items on our menu, all of which are made from scratch, it takes a lot of people to prepare all of those dishes and serve them, and dishes to be cleaned, guests to be greeted, so it really does take a village.
Come on, chef, right behind you.
The Cheesecake Factory's usually expansive menu was shortened for the mock trial meals, but guests we spoke with,
I love it. I'll be back again.
didn't seem to mind one bite.
You hear Cheesecake Factory and you think, oh, well, you know, it's a place you pick up a nice little dessert. But, I mean, it's a great restaurant. I mean, there's awesome food. The food is amazing.
And the Cheesecake Factory will open to the public this Tuesday at 11 a.m. In Lexington, Jordan Valines, WKYT.
By the way, the Cheesecake Factory is still accepting applications for anyone wanting to apply for a job there.
We now know when Cabelas plans to open its new store in Lexington. Officials with the hunting and fishing chain said tonight they plan to open in the spring of 2016. The store will be built on Polo Club Boulevard, not far from Costco. Cabelas plans to hire 160 employees for the store.
Some frightening moments this afternoon in Washington state. We'll show you the damage from what some are calling a tornado.
Also coming up, new details have emerged tonight about the past of a man accused in a deadly shooting attack in Canada's capital. Tonight, some folks in the Pacific Northwest are cleaning up the damage caused by a tornado.
Meteorologists say the tornado touched down this afternoon in Longview, Washington. That's about 50 miles north of Portland, Oregon. The tornado brought down power lines. It damaged some cars and businesses. Emergency crews say the tornado was only on the ground for a few blocks, and so far, no injuries have been reported. Tonight, investigators in Maryland trying to figure out what caused a helicopter and a small plane to collide in midair. They say 3 people died and 2 others were injured in the collision at an airport in Frederick. Investigators say the helicopter was flying in a training exercise at the time. They think the plane was en route from Frederick to Tennessee.
Tonight, we are learning more about the man investigators say was behind a deadly attack in Ottawa, Canada. Police say 32-year-old Michael Zahef Bibo killed a soldier at a war memorial, then fired shots inside Canada's Parliament building. A sergeant-at-arms then shot and killed him. Investigators say he recently converted to Islam and was in Ottawa waiting for a passport. They say he had plans to travel to Syria. Police say the gunman had a lengthy criminal record, including assault, robbery, and drug charges.
The investigation is ongoing and will rapidly determine if Zahef Bibo received any support in the planning of his attack.
Kevin Vickers, the sergeant-at-arms who stopped the attack, received a standing ovation in Canada's Parliament today.
Tonight, 2 people face charges after police said a child nearly drowned in a northern Kentucky pool. Florence police say that Susan Stacy and Dwayne Johnson have been indicted for wanton endangerment. They say Stacy's 2-year-old son was pulled from a motel pool earlier this month. The child was treated and released from the hospital. Police say Stacy and Johnson left the child in the pool unsupervised. They also say the child was not wearing a flotation device.
With winter quickly approaching, road crews around the Bluegrass are making their plans. Some of them are still feeling the effects of last year's snow and ice. Many of them had to order more salt than expected. Road crews in Boyle County say right now they have enough salt for 5 snow events, but this year Boyle County is only ordering treated salt. They say it's cheaper than untreated salt and it works better in colder temperatures.
A Lexington daycare that helps children with health problems has expanded. Today, the Kids Club held a grand opening celebration at its new building on Regency Road. The new 2,500 square foot facility has a therapy room and a larger playground than the old location. The Kids Club is Fayette County's only prescribed pediatric extended care facility.
By having this kind of care, parents can go to school, they can work, they are able to do things that they couldn't do in the past because they didn't have a safe place and a place for their kids to be safely taken care of.
The Kids Club helps children from birth all the way up to age 21 who have an ongoing medical condition.
Tonight, Eastern Kentucky University leaders broke ground on the second phase of a new science building. The building will be home to the departments of biological sciences, geography, and geology. It's being built next to a science building that opened just 2 years ago. EKU leaders say construction will begin soon and the second phase should be complete by the end of 2017.